morning, excellent morning, people. Marvelous afternoon and wonderful evening wherever you are in the world. This is Carla from MindPlore with Carla and Friends, and I am here to speak with you. We're speaking in English. Remember, I do all these shows and I get confused at times. But we're speaking about freedom and how we define freedom and the beauty of freedom. And I need to make a major decision in a moment. And as we're talking about freedom, to me, freedom is not the outer freedom. We give freedom to ourselves in our mind, in our thinking. We can be stuck with I cannot do, and we can be involved with I can do. And the reason I say that is when we make the decision that we can do something, whether it's something we believe that we can do or not do, we can actually change that to doing very easily by making that decision. It's our minds that say, I cannot do, or I'm going to try, and you're half-baked about it. But when you say, I am going to do it, I'm going to do my best, our whole lives begin to change. Our thinking begins to change. And with that, I'm going to send the mic over to Gayathri so I can just get something done very quickly and be a part of this conversation. And Gayathri, please open the show. And Michael Sillion, I will remove you if you do not have your camera on by the count of 5. 1, 2.
He is not yet connected with audio. He can't hear.
He's connected now.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Michael, for coming.
Thank you. I had to find internet. So.
Today we have Gayathri Deshmukh, who has her PhD, so she goes as Dr. Gayathri. We have Ann Kessler, and thank you for getting your name right today. And please, in the future, ladies, use your Facebook name, okay? And Michael, it would be nice if you were still, so you can.
I'll find a place here.
So you can keep your connection going and be a part of the conversation. Gayathri, go ahead, please.
Hello and warm welcome to all the viewers to Carla and her friends. MindPlore with Carla and her friends. Today we're going to talk about freedom. Now let's think about it, what freedom really means. Take your time, think what it really means to you. One of the freedom fighters of India who later went on to become a global icon of peace, Mahatma Gandhi, described freedom in beautiful words. He said, freedom is not worth having if it does not include the freedom to make mistakes. Think about it. Really think about it. Freedom where you don't have freedom to make mistakes. What won't human beings give to be forgiven? What won't human beings give for another chance? Anything. Freedom is not just a word. It's really more than that. It's not just about freedom of nations, freedom of people, freedom of speech, freedom of expressions. It is a lot more than that. For example, Aung San Suu Kyi said, the only real prison is fear, and the only real freedom is freedom from fear. Now, my dear friends, while we talk about Statue of Liberty, while we talk about freedom of expression, there's a question we need to ask. Are we going to simply talk about the freedom that is written on paper, or are we talking about the freedom that we can really experience? There are several countries that are still living under dictatorship. Do they have freedom of expression? Do they have freedom from fear? I think they don't have freedom of anything at all. Some people don't have freedom to breathe without permission either. So my dear friends, today that is what we are going to talk about today. Freedom. What does freedom mean? Peter Marshall said that may we think of freedom not as the right to do as we please, but as an opportunity to do what is right. And that is a profound statement, because here he's not talking about idealistic scenario that Mahatma Gandhi spoke about. He's not talking about spiritual aspect that he spoke about. He's actually talking about fundamental responsibilities that come along with the freedom. How many of us enjoy the freedom and crib about the responsibilities attached to it? How many of us want the freedom but are not inclined towards performing the duties that come along with it? Let's see what our panelists have to say about this particular thought. Julie, what do you think? What is freedom for you? What is your definition of freedom?
Well, I have a lot of definitions of freedom. However, I have an example from what you're talking about. I don't think I told you that I'm a founder of a nonprofit, an international nonprofit called Countries Connecting. And I actually came up with this new idea for something that my daughter and I can get involved with in our own community. And I plan on expanding it. I haven't even told the leadership group or anything. My daughter and I just started it yesterday. So what we're doing is 30 minutes a day, every week that she's at my house, we're going for a walk and we're taking a bag and wearing gloves and picking up trash just around our neighborhood where we normally will walk. And that kind of fits in, I believe, with freedom and the responsibility that we have to our communities, because if we want the earth and our community to do better, then we need to go out there and show people how to do different acts or how to be kind to one another, to look out for both earth and humanity. So I feel like that has a lot to do with the personal responsibility that we have. And if everybody joins in and does, maybe not picks up trash, but something, whatever your hobbies or interests might be in. For me, it's walking and running. So it kind of goes hand in hand. But I've also been changing a lot of my lifestyle and been really treating my body as a temple, as we should. And because of that, I'm feeling more energetic to do things for the planet. So
how would you connect that with freedom? How would you connect your activity with the definition or with the essence of freedom?
Yep. So lately for me, like when I'm driving and seeing like trash all over, it just makes my heart break. And I just feel like, well, that like uplifts me. And connecting it to freedom, I would say, because I used to be an alcoholic and I had a DUI and I quit drinking in 2020. And I'm right now in the middle of quitting smoking. And those things were holding me back from going out. And, I was polluting the world. I was an angry person, not happy at all. And I was like held back. They were like chains for me. And so now I want to share the peace that I have inside. And I only have that because of going deep inside, and knowing that I'm stronger than those things.
Okay. So if you are in the middle of quitting smoking, we could say that you are looking forward to freedom from dependency on
Yes.
that pack of cigarettes.
Yes.
Michael, your thoughts. What do you think is freedom? What freedom means to you? What is your definition of freedom?
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but I would say like freedom is to be free is to have the opportunity to participate in any kind of event. And an event could be an opportunity for learning. It could be an opportunity for connecting to other people. It could be an opportunity to contribute that we also need, and help others in their quest for for learning or making new pathways in their lives. So it's a complex web of events that you and others participate in, and you're never like free to do what you want. You're free to be a part of a society, but you're free to choose your society. But all our societies are currently on Earth, and that's inside our biosphere, and that's what we have together. So you're not free to destroy or pollute or do anything harmful to the biosphere, and that includes every human, every life, and everything that lives inside it. Of course, there's going to be accident, but you're not voluntarily free to do those in case of that. But it's super complex, and today we have so many countries on the earth that don't even include like the basic right to be yourself, and that is just the first step of the journey of to be free together, I think.
Thank you so much, Michael, for those thoughts. Carla, I'm going to hand the stage back to you.
Thank you. You're talking about freedom, about being yourself, right, Michael? And I remember once, many months ago, I must say, I heard you say, I was afraid to be me. Or you were kind of shy about it. We couldn't even get you to speak when you were on MindPlore, and I finally got you speaking, and for some reason I forgot about old people that I needed to get back onto MindPlore. When you're talking about freedom, are you talking about the freedom that comes from within? And that freedom of feeling comfortable to accept yourself and accept who you are? And if so, can you elaborate on that point? Alexa, stop. I wasn't talking to you.
Yeah, like free from the fear that's holding you back, and everything that is not freedom is any kind of cage. It can be a physical, literally a physical cage, or it can be a societal cage where there are laws or restriction that restricts you in ways that is not good good or harmful for you. But there's also the mental cage of not being given the tool or the opportunity to explore your own thoughts and mind and seek your own friends and communities as well. And I was brought up in a shy family where we didn't talk, so that became me. I was always having thoughts and things I wanted to say, but I had no confidence or courage in myself to say them to others because I haven't been taught how to do that. And that's a essential part of being free, being taught the skills how to explore yourself and express yourself. And that's something I've been training on my whole life to become the person I'm so far from not being when I was young. For that to happen, there's also like you in that process of when you express yourself, you can't put others down and things like that. In essence, you can't be mad or harmful to others. But in some cases, we have to use violence to do a revolution against someone who is suppressing an entire population and something like that. So there's a thin line between what what is right to do and what must be done in that case to seek freedom. But basically, like, just exploring all these kinds of aspects of choosing who you are and giving the tools and the skills to become that person, and then also be part of a society where you're free to do that.
Right. So freedom is not something outside of you. It is something within you, correct?
No, it's both.
Would you agree? It is outside of you, but where does it start? Does it start inside or does it start outside?
I would say it starts on the inside. There's where we all live on the inside of our own mind and body, and that's where it starts. And how we express and interact with others and uphold or change all kinds of behavioral patterns we do together that we don't call society is the outside part of that. That's interconnection between all living humans and all living things. And of course, the connection is strongest with the one closest to you, both graphically or like here on the internet and things like that. You can't connect with everyone, but in that exploration, it's a constant interaction with yourself and your surroundings, whatever that may be. And in that process, you must be free to not be too constrained or harmed in that way. There's always all kinds of constraints on your life, and there's many things people would want to do, but they can't do for various reasons, mostly economical in today's money world. But you should at least be free to explore every possibility in that case, and seek help in exploring that to become whatever you want to be, or what you're supposed to be, depending how you see your path in life. If it's all free will, or if it's destiny or circumstance, what it is. So nature or nurture.
Now, someone just wrote in the chat, and I want to read the chat because she said, do you read the messages? And I don't even know if it's a she or a he, it's skill drills. But it was a very important point. She said, freedom has a lot of vertical. I think we should start from freedom of individuality. When we were children, we were told, do this, do that, don't do that, blah, 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 all our lives. I know I was taught that, and I really did not come into my own until really just a few years ago, because I was always stuck in that. And the change of mindset takes its place when we begin to think, hey, I want to be who I am. And I was told I had to be a doctor, but I really wanted to be an artist, and I wanted to create ceramics. And I never did it because I was studying to be a doctor. Now, I'm not saying studying to be a doctor is a bad thing. I'm not saying listening to your parents is not a bad thing. But at some point in that movement, you need to make a decision to be who you are. And who you are and what interests you may be greater than what mom and dad told us, or our sisters and our brothers and our friends. It's taking a moment of silence and getting to know each other. And I want to bring Julie back into the conversation and ask her what she thinks of what I had just said.
Yep. First of all, I wrote down choosing who you are, which was something Michael said. And I love that because Carla knows, I believe I have said before, that I was raised strict fundamental Baptist. And so I didn't really have any choices about anything in my life till I was, 18. And even then, I would say now I'm 34, and just this year is when I'm really making my own choices and I'm sharing who I am and speaking out. And the whole philosopher of divinity thing, I know, is just throwing everyone back home for a loop because they don't understand. But I've been sharing my story, for instance, like on Facebook, and I interrelate, like I follow angel numbers. I'm very much so into numerology. And so I'm trying to teach numerology and then introduce tarot and astrology all in one in all my teachings. And I've even recently begun, I just got a new oracle deck that's actually a bunch of Psalms and different Bible verses. So now I'm integrating those Bible verses with numerology. And I mean, I have a lot of views even by people that are in my past. So I hope that it's helping to open up their minds to a bigger world out there. And that's kind of like what my whole path, my life mission. I don't know it exactly to the T, but I know that it's involving those 3 areas of study and just showing people how everything cycles and everything is interconnected. And that is like ultimate freedom to me because I'm a forever student. I love learning. I will learn until the day I die. And I love to share what I'm learning with other people. So I want everyone to feel how I've been feeling. And to me, that's true freedom.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. What about you, Gayathri?
I think I would say I would agree with both the speakers because I also believe that freedom has to come from inside. It's a very individual concept. It is very subjective. And I like to think of myself as a free soul. The reason being, since I was a child, I didn't really care much about anybody and anyone. I did whatever I felt like. There was this one time my mother categorically told me we were in this small village and there was a biogas plant where I was at my grandmother's place. Now, what is biogas plant? Cow dung, buffalo dung, bull dung, the dungs of all the animals, the farm animals. It is collected and biogas is made out of it. It's used as an energy. The only problem is it is made in a pit like a swimming pool, except instead of water, it's all cow dung and buffalo dung into it. My mother categorically told me, do not go there, me and my cousin. Naturally, since we were told not to go there, we went there. And not just that, we decided that it was time to dance. So we went there and we started ringa ringa roses, pocket full of poses. Haisha, Hoisha. Yes, both of us fell right into the gobar gas plant. We were 4.5 and 5 years old. Fortunately, 2 of my uncles had immense faith in us. They trusted us. They knew that we would do exactly what we were told not to do. So they were just on the standby and they got us out immediately. Since then, I learned my lesson that it doesn't matter. Whatever I do, I will get away with it. And since then, I've been doing exactly that. Every time I was told that this is what you need to do, I did exactly the opposite. Every time I was told that this is against the social norms, I did exactly what was told me not to do. I would do that. I was 26 and I didn't really date much. I just dated once. It didn't work out. And my mother I come from a very conservative middle class family in India. My mother read some book wherein the writer had written about her finding out that her daughter was a lesbian and how she adapted to the whole thing. My mother decided that it was probably time to talk to me since my daughter is not dating. In our society, any which way dating is not looked upon in a very good light, at least not then. So my mother was like, whoever you are, whatever you are, I will accept. And I told her, it's really very nice that you did your research and you're having this talk with me. I I really feel that I really value that thing. So, but however, no, I'm not lesbian. It's just that I haven't found the right person to date. And that's when I realized that freedom of doing something, freedom to speak your mind, and most importantly, freedom to communicate with your parents. I think that is the most important aspect. It is my observation that it doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter what you have done. If your family is with you, if your family accepts you, if your family supports you, people around you support you. They have no other option. So for me, most important freedom that I have enjoyed is the freedom to talk to my parents about absolutely anything under the sky.
That's wonderful. Many people don't have that freedom. And that in itself also causes for a lot of, oh, I'm going to become like this, or I'm going to become like that. And we look outside to decide where we want to go instead of looking within. I love Michael's story. Believe it or not, he is Captain Future, and he guides the Earth through its courses. Are you still Captain Future, Michael?
Yeah, I'm Captain Future for life. That's when I found myself 5 years ago as Captain Future. And that had been a process of learning and becoming and creating that myself in that process.
So explain to people what Captain Future is and how it helped you move forward in your life.
Yeah, it's like I've been searching for my calling my whole life, and I never knew I can actually do anything else but what other people told me. So that was an experience 10 years ago when I quit my job and started exploring what I want to do and what I felt, what I care about. So the process of finding or creating yourself, it's to pay careful attention what you care about. It's not like just come up with anything. So anything you care about, you can pursue, and then you find out if it's something you want to care more about. And I started I've always been caring about the planet we live on in an essence, but I never knew I could do something about it. I thought I was up to powerful people, but it turns out I didn't do anything. So that's why I decided I will dedicate my life to care about the planet. And in that process, I came up with a title together with some friends that is Captain Future. It's a reference to Buckminster Fuller, who also cared a lot about the planet. He said we have to become the crew members of Spaceship Earth. That means we have to be the stewards, the midwives, the caretakers, the guardians of our biosphere. That is our spaceship that's going around the sun. And many people today are, especially in here in the Western world, we're just entitled passengers that think we have the right to have a car, drive it with fossil fuel, to buy anything we want that is harvested from the earth, or we have the right to burn down forests, we have the right to dig up anything. We don't have any of those kinds of rights. That's not freedom. Freedom is the ability to care about the things that makes life going and society going, and that's part of me. Like I am this. I use silliness and playfulness as a tool. That's why I use so that you can see new perspectives, new angles, and ask interesting questions on things. And that's what I do as Captain Future.
You got ladies, you can talk to them. I'm kind of like guiding this, but I want you guys, ladies, to feel comfortable to speak too. Julie, you have a great smile. What do you want to say?
Oh, I love that, Michael. I've never heard of Captain Future before, but that inspires me, and I'm sure that'll get my creativity going even more. What I'm doing with Countries Connecting is I've already got the I'm going to get t-shirts made for me and Zoe. And so when we're out and about, if anybody, because we had 2 people ask us, what are you guys doing? We're like, oh, just making our neighborhood cleaner. And that's awesome, So I said, Zoe, we need to get Countries Connecting. And then on the back, we're going to say cleaning countries, one community at a time. And so I know I have, I have got people in Uganda and in Nigeria and Kenya and Cameroon, and then India and Pakistan. And I know there's nonprofits and churches who would wear the shirts if I could get them out to the nonprofits, and pretty much as many as I could send them, they could probably get worn. So we're going to integrate that with other programs that we have, all around the world. We have different nonprofits already starting some of our programs. And I think this is one that people can go out and take part, even if they don't have any money, which is something that's been a big problem for me. But I've just been working around it and inspiring people and having meetings like this, making friends. And we just try to put our head together and see how we can take better care of one another, especially those suffering, and then of the planet too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Gayathri?
My personal belief about us doing good for the society, us doing something, and that bringing freedom to people, that is a different level of joy. One reason why a lot of countries which were colonized at one point of time, they celebrate their freedom fighters. They don't call them revolutionaries. They don't call them anything else. They just call them freedom fighters, because that is what those fighters brought them. And most important aspect about freedom, in my opinion, is that, like Julie said, that she likes to blend the verses from Bible with her teachings. I tend to quote Bhagavad Gita, which was a conversation between Krishna and Arjun. They were cousins and they were friends, and Arjun was right in the middle of the battlefield, and he was not sure if he should fight that battle. So the whole conversation revolves around why that battle should be fought, and what is the reason, and why Arjun needs to free himself from everything. I'm going to quote one Sanskrit shloka from Bhagavad Gita, and I'm going to tell you exactly what it means, because it talks only about the freedom, and it talks about freedom from the materialistic world. That particular shloka goes something like this. Jnaya sa nitya sannyasi yona dveshti na kankshati nirdvando hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramichyate. It basically means that the person who doesn't have any desire or hate for anything, and he is always considered renunciation as the top priority, he is free from all the duties, and they are easily liberated from the bonds of material energy. My house, my family, this is my thing, that whole possessiveness. Slowly and gradually, we realize that from my mobile, we go on to my friend, my boyfriend, my spouse, and we become over-possessive about things. In the moment we become over-possessive, we are not really free from anything. We are basically attaching ourselves to more and more things. So that is what I think we need to be doing. We just need to liberate ourselves, free ourselves from all the desires, free ourselves from all the hate, free ourselves from all the duties and responsibilities. For example, Julie, when you do that good work, the moment you free yourself from that feeling of, oh, I'm doing this for society, I'm doing this for certain cause, and you're doing it just because you are doing it, because it needs to be done, that sense of liberation is something that cannot be matched. Absolutely not. And that is the kind of liberation we want to attain.
Yeah, I agree. Like I actually started this on my own without my daughter, but I'm trying to teach her principles without preaching to her. So I'm just trying to show her how I'm choosing to live. And then I allow her to come or not, it's up. She's 11. So kind of at a touchy spot here. But I started because I go out and meditate by the river. And one day I was just sitting out there and I'm like, look at all this trash. And I'm like, I don't want to meditate with all this trash around here. And so I just got up and cleaned the whole side of the riverbank where I was sitting. And I finally sat back down and closed my eyes. And I'm like, wow, that I feel so much better just for doing that. It's hard to describe what you feel, it just makes you feel great, joyful inside.
Now, here is my question to you, Julie. When you were cleaning your surroundings, what were you cleaning? Were you really cleaning your surroundings, or was that a metaphor for cleaning your mind?
Yep. And actually, I was just teaching Zoe that yesterday when we were picking up. I said, now what you do while you're picking up this trash, Zoe, you have an intention. So you cleanse your spirit, you cleanse your body, your aura. I'm like, and that's what so that way while we're cleansing our physical space, that's like metaphorically cleansing our aura or our spirit, or like you said, our mind. Yep.
It's more or less our physical actions, the actions that are, this is a very beautiful thing that our teacher used to tell us, that there has to be harmony between your head, heart, and hands. So the moment what your hands start doing, what your brain has realized your heart needs, your hands start doing it. I think that is the time that we actually embark upon this journey to finally attain that peace. And we know that, okay, now we're on the right path because the brain has understood what the heart needs and has communicated to our hands exactly what needs to be done.
I love that.
And many spiritual teachers say that too, that we need to bring our understanding of the world to us. And when we start getting our hands, keep our hands busy, our mind empty, and our heart full. And when, I don't think I said it exactly as it's being said, but when you begin to do that, you begin to free yourself from the life of prison. We're often imprisoned by what others say to us. And we often get concerned because Michael told me my hair looks a mess. And sorry, Michael, your name came first. Your hair's a mess and you don't have anything good to say and blah, blah, blah. That's his opinion. And it's only his opinion. It's not the opinion of the world. And from what I was taught by my mom, if someone said that to you, you better clean it up. Don't be yourself. Be what everyone else wants you to be. And it takes a long time to embrace who you are and your own being in order to clear your mind of the prisons that we live in that say you can't do that or that you want to do that. Michael, do you have something to say? And please don't take anything I said.
No problem. Yeah, there's a lot of thought coming up to that. And I want to talk about there is this idea that aspiration and striving and things like that is, we shouldn't be attached to things, but I think we should do that because we need things. We need each other. We need people who do things for us. We can't do everything we need. I need my iPhone because without that I couldn't talk to you. And but the attachment and the aspiration should always be healthy and playful. And when any kind of relationship consumes us to be unhealthy or toxic, it's not good for us, even our relationship to our things. But I love my things, but I try to have a healthy, playful relationship with everything around me. And that's the balance, because we need striving today. We need aspiration. We need people who want to build a better world, a better society, and become people who want to become something for the world, not for themselves. And that is healthy aspiration and healthy striving, and we need that. That of course is coupled with all kinds of mindfulness techniques, meditation, and group play, so you keep the healthy balance in that. And we can't do it alone. We need to keep track of each other. As soon as you see someone becoming too attached, when it becomes unhealthy to anything, or toxic to relationships, to things, to all kinds of drugs and alcohol and things like that, you have to step up and be the midwife or the caretaker for them, because they are lost their way. So we have to help each other, but we need to strive and be attached to things. Attachment to others is love, and we need that. But we've never been taught to do it in a healthy, playful way. And there's many people talking about the healthy, but not the playful way. We humans, or all kinds of mammals, we use playfulness to learn, and we use playfulness to relate to each other. And we need a lot more of that, especially when we solve serious problems and challenges in the world. We can't be bitter or hide behind suits or policies or titles. We need to be playful together to solve anything, and that's what's missing in the world, I think, as well. So.
Another point that went through my mind while I was listening to you is that sometimes we think if someone is not doing something that we like, they're against us. But they're not really against us. They are being themselves. And the world is full of opposites, and opposites are complementary, day, night. We didn't have night, we would never know about the day, and vice versa. Being happy, being sad. We make that choice. Are we going to be happy? We don't need to be what someone else tells us to be. But if we start restricting someone from being who they are, then we start bringing that anger and those boundaries in on us, because it's our thoughts that create our world. I don't care if you're in Sweden like you are, Michael, or California like Julie, or India. We are all different and very different from each other. And by accepting what everyone is doing and saying on this show, it's even difficult for me at times. But it doesn't matter, because you're here to be yourself and not someone else. If that makes sense. Gayathri?
It totally does. It totally does. I mean, to be really who you are, what you are, unapologetically, that is the sense of freedom everybody wants within them. And as a woman, I can say that women seldom have that. Half my life, I saw myself from the point of view of other people. Into double quotes, we women are taught, or we are groomed to look at ourselves from the eyes or point of view of a man. The sad part is, it is a room full of men that decide the freedoms that women should get. It is the room full of men that decide the rights women should get. The worst part is, it's the room full of men that decide what are the sanitary needs of a woman during their menstruation cycle. It is a room full of men that decide what a woman needs during her pregnancy. I think freedom has to go beyond what it is on paper. Freedom has to come in reality, and it has to come from within. It is not something that can be forced. and I'm not just talking about men and women. This is just an easiest example to understand what is wrong with our society at the moment. This is just one example. There are other examples in different categories and different zones. So, which is another thing that I believe we all need to really introspect and reflect upon our lives. I realized 5 years ago the mistakes I made. The mistakes being looking at myself from the point of view of others and then deciding what is the right thing to do without realizing that what I genuinely felt was right.
I know that's hard, Gayathri. I actually just had to leave a marriage after 12 years, and I was blaming myself the whole marriage, and we both made our share of mistakes. But in this sense, it was narcissism that really had a hold of me. And the reason I stayed so long was because we had a daughter, and I was raised Baptist, remember? So divorce is like, instantly one of those, not going to send you to hell per se, but it's pretty close is how it's talked about in the church. And so it was hard for me to take a step back and look and say, God or the higher being, whatever you believe in, my higher self isn't telling me that I'm wrong for walking away. That would actually be better for me and my daughter. And it took me up until just a couple months ago to finally be at peace with the fact that I needed that freedom because I deserved it and I deserve the respect. So that's kind of another example, but more specific for me, but kind of like what you were saying, Gayathri, with freedom and finding yourself and being who you are. And if people don't respect that, then that is their problem and it's no longer mine, as long as I'm not doing things, saying things, or hurting other people.
I think that was one thing, Carla, what Julie just mentioned a while ago. I think I also mentioned that. I recently started my leadership journey, and it has been a bit of a rocky patch for me because I can say that I don't care about anyone when I'm just myself, but in the position of leadership, I don't have that freedom because I'm responsible for more than myself.
What you're saying makes sense, but managers are not concerned about people. They just want them to do the job. Leadership is accepting people and allowing them to do the job that they are doing. I saw something on LinkedIn, a quote like that on LinkedIn. So it doesn't mean that you're doing a wrong thing by listening to people, hearing people and helping them grow. It would be wrong if you said, this is your job, this is what you do, and you don't care about how they may think. Just some thoughts to put in there. Go on, Gayathri. I'm sorry, it just popped into my head.
Not at all. It's just that it is my observation, and it's a very new observation because I never really liked leadership roles because I knew I would lose my freedom to make mistakes, my freedom to do anything at all, because the moment you're going to...
my point. That's where you're wrong. You did not lose your freedom. Now you're losing your freedom when you say, oh, I can't do certain things because I'm a leader.
No, that's not what I said. That's not what I said. I was completing the sentence when you stopped me in between.
Okay,
the complete sentence is like this. As a leader, I don't have that freedom to make a mistake because since I'm the leader, the more power I hold, the graver is the gravity of the mistake. And this we have seen in several freedom struggles wherein there is this one person, people worship that person because that person has been an amazing leader. And then that person finds himself or herself in a spot wherein they have to make a tough decision. It's not a choice between good and bad. It's not the choice between good and better. It's the choice between the lesser evil. And whatever they choose, their decision is going to be considered as a mistake. And whatever mistake they make, it is going to be 100 times more impactful on the society than if they are not a leader. If I'm nobody and I'm making a mistake, it does not impact anybody but me. But when I'm in the position of the leadership, I should not be making mistakes, because now it's going to impact several other lives, which is why often leaders are seen to be in the position wherein they don't jump to decisions quickly. They'll take their own sweet time because they don't have that kind of freedom to make the mistakes. And the Mahatma Gandhi said that thing for one simple reason: he's blamed for half the problems in our country because he was that leader.
But he did what he felt he needed to do.
Absolutely.
And if you're saying you're not free to make a mistake, then you're putting more on yourself than you need to do. Because everyone, no matter who they are going to make mistakes. And if you use a mistake as an excuse not to do something that you feel is right, you are not leading. You are only worried about yourself. You need to do what you need to do, whether someone likes it or doesn't like it. I get people mad at me on the English show all the time. I know it because of how I react to certain things, including Joy. Joy was mad at me on a show. I can't help being who I am. And if someone gets angry at me, that's fine.
And that, Carla, that precise thing that you just said is something that a leader needs to have: a thick skin, free from caring about what people say about you, free from being constantly getting validations from the people. And that is the precise point that you just made.
One of the things that brought me to Rehan even more as I got to know him better was that he said to me, Carla, you can't always speak to those you know and those who think like you. You need to talk to different people. And this was in the very beginning. Now I don't care as much. And I said, I do some people, he asked, and I'm like, I'm not going to do this. And usually he'll come back to me and say, why aren't you doing that one? And I'll flutter around, and I'm like, you're right, I should do it. Now he doesn't even need to ask me that. If I feel I don't want to talk to someone, that's the person I need to talk to. And I have learned that over time. And he knows it. He can see in the groups what I'm writing, and then he may take me privately or he'll leave because he knows thinks I'm not going to do it. But I end up doing it because of that. And it's taking that role of a leader to a different level. It's taking that role to allowing you to learn from someone else. Learn when someone says, oh, I can't speak English. I'm not going to speak. Okay, fine.
Yeah. And also, like, when you make a mistake, the important part is like being able to communicate around it. We can use direct communication. We can use all kinds of stories and narratives to explain why we did, and that the alternative was probably much worse, and things like that, when we may have to make hard choices. And that's also like using using forefront communication, narratives and stories to tell and explain why we do, so we can learn from each other in the process as well.
Right. And that's how we learn. Not by thinking we're going to make everyone happy, because darn it, we're not going to do that. There's always going to be someone who doesn't like what we're saying. And it really doesn't matter. In the long scheme of things, we're here for a very short time on the planet, and then we leave. We can leave being happy, or we can leave being sad. I'd rather leave being happy. Not that I'm always happy, but I'm growing. Okay, we are coming to the end. I want everyone to give their big thought of what freedom is. We do want to get off within 5 minutes if we can. And I'm going to start with, I'll do ladies first. Julie?
Okay. Thanks everybody for including me in the show today. Thank you, Carla. I appreciate that. And it's nice to meet you, Michael and Gayathri. And for everybody out there listening, I just want to tell you to try to look inside. I guess the first step would be maybe jot some things down as you go throughout a day. Start in the morning, and everything that you do, is it making you happy, or is it making you sad or upset or angry? And then even for just a couple activities throughout your day, something, I bet that there's things you can switch, whether it's like Michael and completely change your work, or just little things like integrating hobbies into your day, just to try to bring a little bit of joy. For instance, I'm starting to make fairy houses this week, and I'm doing that with all of the recycled boxes that we have around the house. And I'm going to start making them, and then hopefully going to craft shows and selling them. So instead of using all this and throwing it into the landfills, I'm going to try to repurpose some of our trash and then make it into little decorations for the house. So, oh yes.
Quick question. What did you take from this show that you learned about freedom?
I would say I'm going to be Googling about more quotes about the hands, heart, and mind that Gayathri was talking about, and that you discussed too, Carla.
Good, thank you.
Yep.
Gayathri, quickly, what did you take from the show today?
I think from all the conversation that we have had, there are two quotes that I want to quote. The quotes come from freedom fighters from India. The first freedom fighter I would like to quote is Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, who was popularly known as Lokmanya Tilak. He was a barrister. And he simply said, "Freedom is my birthright and I shall have it." That was it. Just a short sentence, and it had people instigated to really come out and get their freedom. And there was another freedom fighter, Subhash Chandra Bose, who said exactly what we spoke about. And what he said was, freedom is not given, it is taken. It's up to us to take it. Nobody can give it to us unless we are prepared to be free from within. And that is what I would conclude.
Thank you. Michael.
Yeah, so much to think about. But I think there's this interplay between us. There's so much to understand about ourselves, what it is to be free. Be free, like you said, take your freedom, but also understanding you're free to be yourself, but you're also free to contribute. That's how it works. I'm free to contribute with the best part of myself, and then my responsibility is to find out what is the best part of myself I can contribute to. But we also must be free to do that journey, and you're never alone. So find the others, whatever you want to explore to be free to do, there's someone else who can help you on that journey. It can be locally, or it can be globally, like using tools like this, and use the internet, Facebook, Zoom. Find someone else and ask them, can you be my freedom buddy?
I like that.
I do too.
And when we talk about freedom, freedom is an inner journey that goes outside. And I find that to be the most exciting part. We do need to close now, unfortunately. And I want to thank Gayathri and Julie and Michael for coming and talking about freedom today. We will be back on Thursday talking again about freedom. And if you like what this conversation is coming to, MindPlore, please follow us on Facebook, subscribe to GiggleFestUniversity.com, GiggleFest University on YouTube. And you can watch all the shows that we've ever done because they're all on YouTube also. So let's wave goodbye. And we are leaving. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Going to wave, Michael.